Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with some more IEM Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay action. You guys should know the drill by now. Basically, it's going to be a best of 3 between two awesome Starcraft 2 players from an awesome Starcraft 2 tournament. So, we've got ourselves another Terran versus Protoss, and we'll see how this one's going to go. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, it's Mao's HeRoMaRinE, Mao's Esports HeRoMaRinE. And spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map is Cascade's DnS. So should be a fantastic Terran versus Protoss here. The European edition. I know you guys like to see a lot of the Korean games and stuff, and a lot of the sort of like Korean games or the Korean versus foreigner games. But I'm willing to bet that this is going to be a fantastic Terran versus Protoss, just within Europe here, France and Germany going at it. So, I mean, HeRoMaRinE, he's a very, very good Terran player. He's pretty much right up there with Euthermal as far as the top 2 Terrans in Europe go. I don't think that, other than that, it's really much up for debate. And so yeah, he's just a very consistent Terran player as far as in Europe goes. Has very consistent results, like top 4 WCS at times. And then DnS, he's a bit of an up-and-comer still, despite being in this scene for quite a while. He's a very good French Protoss. Okay, guys. Him and Sol are like my 2 picks as far as like good players who haven't had the results yet. And you know I cast Sol and DnS a fair bit on this channel, so we'll see how they're gonna do. Versus each other. I mean, make sure to keep an eye out for these guys. But I mean, DnS is gonna be no easy opponent for HeRoMaRinE. He's a very good Protoss player. Also plays some interesting styles that I've seen. But now, here comes in the probe for DnS. It's scouted out nice and early to make sure there is no proxy shenanigans. HeRoMaRinE not necessarily known for being a big proxy player or anything like that, but it's always better to be safe than sorry in StarCraft 2. And we'll see. So that probe just heading on back. HeRoMaRinE going for a Reaper. And then just everything else on the way here. Chrono boosting that Adept out. Then just to make sure that that'll be out to defend from the Reaper. HeRoMaRinE, he's not making a beeline across the map though with his Reaper. If we check the vision and whatnot, he's scouted out those locations just to make sure that there's no crazy Stargate or anything super aggressive. Reaper comes on back, just waiting out those timings in case a probe decides to dive on in, but not just making a super quick run into his opponent's base. But that Stargate is on the way now. So HeRoMaRinE, even if he doesn't scout it, you got to be ready for it or you pay the price. So now we'll see. This Reaper on the high ground, probably waiting for a Stalker or an Adept or something to maybe walk across the map. But HeRoMaRinE just getting up his expansion, making a single Hellion is interesting. And then 2 Marines. The single Hellion really is an interesting choice as far as I'm concerned. I mean, usually we'll sometimes see reactored Hellions get on out, but just one definitely is curious. I guess maybe a Reaper and a Hellion can take on an Adept if microed perfectly. But then just getting a Widowmine, Starport on the way. And it's also a good build if you want to try and throw your opponent off here. So HeRoMaRinE's got the Hellion, got the Reaper. Maybe going to dive on into the natural if he goes for a drop or something like that. But Reaper maybe looking to dive on in, and so it is going to do so. It jumps up again. Those Reapers got hops. Now going to be trying to run behind his opponent's base. See that there is indeed a Stargate on the way. Maybe try and get a probe. I mean, the tech is already done at this point, but does he actually confirm it? No, he doesn't. The Hellion runs on in, actually aims to finish off that probe. Probably going to be looking to get another one, so he is sacking the Hellion, gets the scout off. But, I mean, he does kill off 2 probes for a Hellion and a Reaper. Not like a good trade, not like a fantastic trade that's making me, making me excited for HeRoMaRinE or anything like that. But a good scout, and it's, oh, look at this. He's actually going for a fake here with this Medivac. HeRoMaRinE, he's just playing interesting so far. Medivac going to be flying on him. Yeah, look at this. There's no mines in here, but he's forcing a probe pull. Here, it looks like DnS has called his bluff a little bit. Got the 3 Adepts in position to one-shot any of those mines. Now here comes in that Medivac, going to be flying on into the main base of DnS. Just backing up though, sees a Phoenix on the way I believe, and then says, you're right, I gotta get out of there. He doesn't want to lose his Medivac for a fake. Then just must have the 1 or 2 Widowmines he made to defend from the Oracle. And so pretty standard opening here. A little bit of an interesting fake out and stuff by HeRoMaRinE, trying to make DnS overreact to an empty dropship and stuff. But other than that, just getting into a standard Terran opening. followed up by a standard quick third base from a Protoss player. DnS confident enough to take that. Getting a Twilight Council on the way, getting a Forge on the way. Two Oracles hanging around here. Phoenix also there for DNS. Always going to have those for scouting as long as he doesn't lose them. HeRoMaRinE does have an engineering bay, but no turrets, or one turret, pardon me. None of it is natural. Got a Widowmine there in the meantime. So, I mean, HeRoMaRinE, he sort of opened, like, it could have been a bit aggressive, but he didn't go for any of that. He's just looking to have a strong follow-up. Stim, Combat Shield, +1 on the way, so going to have that earlier bio move out, getting all that up before his third base. So DNS is going to have to be cautious about that, as he is teching into Blink and getting up +1, going to have up a lot of gateways. But as far as AoE or any other tech goes, he's not going to have a lot to deal with all of this bio. So this could be a little bit concerning for DNS, the potential attack coming out of HeRoMaRinE later on in this game. I mean, if we look at the timings, 50 seconds till Stim done, about 70 seconds till Blink is done or something like that. So, I mean, he will be a little bit vulnerable before he really gets into an overwhelming amount of units. HeRoMaRinE, though, getting up a third base behind this. As HeRoMaRinE is a player who's not necessarily too afraid to go for macro games, which always makes him a treat to watch. Here comes in these Oracles, just tagging a couple of units here and there. I mean, DNS probably aware that a big attack's coming his way. That's why he's got a lot of sentries building up energy, getting up a shield battery, warping in stalkers already. He knows this attack is going to be on its way. Now, yeah, looking at the timings there, it's actually just pretty close, that Blink and Stim pack, +1 on the way. So, I mean, Blink Stalkers in a head-on fight, they're not going to beat the bio, but with good Blink micro, which means the world, it's fully doable for DNS to dispatch this army. HeRoMaRinE also going for a drop, as this is going on 2 mines and a handful of Marines. So looking to hit multiple angles, not putting all of his money on making this attack work. DNS already beginning to shave off a couple of Marines. Steps forward, micros are back, and fantastic force fields going down. HeRoMaRiNE's actually really committed with these units. An anti-armor missile goes down, but DNS has managed to avoid that. HeRoMaRinE actually hits a few of his own units, but a drop going off the natural, a couple of Widowmines landed in there, but Marine's going to be unloading in the main base after this. HeRoMaRinE is putting the pressure on his opponent. Marines are going to start unloading. 4 Marines put out a lot of damage versus probes, so more of them are going to be going down, but so far DNS holding on the main front. He did clean up the mines at his natural. Going to be losing a few workers in his main base, but keep in mind he does have that third base going. He's just holding off to better tech, holding off till he gets his charge, till he gets his +1 armor, so he'll have an upgrade advantage. Concussive shell on the way here. 3 Marauders at a time. HeRoMaRinE realizing that, yeah, that's a lot of Blink Stalkers. I gotta take care of that now. Our robotics facility on the way here for DNS. I'm a big fan of the Robo personally. Like some Protoss players make this timing work, but sometimes they just die without just playing the Blink Stalker style. DNS obviously has done well here, but I mean, Robo units are quite good in PvT. Immortals are good for early on defense. DNS elected not to go for that, which is completely fine. I'm not knocking it or anything, but it does lead nicely into that Colossus tech, which really gives the Protoss army a scary backbone that Terran has to somehow break. But HeRoMaRinE, he's moving out on the map again with his bio. He's got that Raven still alive. Got a good chunk of Medivacs as well, but I mean, attacking into a choke point versus all these stalkers and sentries, it's not really doable. Got to be careful with the Raven blink forward from DNS while hoping to grab that. I think HeRoMaRinE may be better off if he maybe comes down another angle, but I mean, if we look at all this, actually he just loads up, heading right on into the natural. Okay, HeRoMaRinE hoping to catch his opponent off guard, throws down an anti-armor missile. Good blink away from DNS, but I mean, it still hits in that location. HeRoMaRinE maybe has a few more spells he can throw, but actually just decides to retreat. Taking a bit of fire there, gets on out, so not the best trade there for HeRoMaRinE. It wasn't really bad, but not really what he was hoping for with a big move like that. DNS just a rock for now, a very solid rock. Now, you see, DNS just teching up, getting up that robotic space, so he is going to be able to get into Colossus or Disruptors. If I had to guess, it's going to be Colossus. They go well with the Blink Stalkers and all the charge lots out already. Disruptors are a little bit more volatile. HeRoMaRinE is on 3 bases though, so I mean, he's got that production. He's getting up Liberators. He's getting his +1 armor on the way, so I mean, his upgrade deficit, I mean, DNS, pardon me, will have +2 versus 1-1, but definitely, I mean, if you're behind on upgrades, that's no reason to get more behind. Now, DNS, pardon me, is reaching that scary tech, though, getting up Templar Archives, another Forge on the way to keep those upgrades going, double Colossus production on the way. HeRoMaRiNE's making Vikings to deal with this. He's scouted the 4th base, but, I mean, the Protoss tech really does get scarier as the game goes on, so he's making 4 Vikings at a time, making a lot of Marauders. He's got 2-2 on the way, probably planning for a big timing attack. Templar Archives will be finishing up here for DNS, though, and we'll see. He may be able to get Psystorm out before HeRoMaRiNE's 2-2, so that might sort of counter any potential timing attack that HeRoMaRiNE does wish to hit. I mean, there's already a High Templar warping in here for DNS, starting to build up energy for Psystorm. 3-2 on the way as far as upgrades go, so we'll see how this attack's going to work out. HeRoMaRiNE may decide to go earlier. Supply is still relatively even, but the Protoss army is going to be getting a lot better. Archons getting added to the mix with those High Templar, so that's going to add a lot of muscle to the army. The Colossus putting out a lot of damage, but DNS, no Psystorm started just yet, so this is actually going to be very nice for HeRoMaRiNE. I mean, HeRoMaRiNE, the way this timing is going to work out, DNS could have maybe got Psystorm out in that time if he, say, Chrono boosted it out. So, the fact that he's not going to have that, I mean, it's not the best for him. He is going double Disruptors, though, which even if he does lose all of his Colossus, he'll still have a nice bit of AoE. And the natural base is a little exposed for DNS. We may see HeRoMaRiNE try and drop that later on. But for now, he's staying back. He's just waiting for his 2-2, it looks like. I imagine we'll be seeing him move out relatively soon, because generally, Terran, who's making a lot of Vikings, it generally has one thing in mind, and that's to go for a big attack, and HeRoMaRiNE looks like he is planning to make that attack happen, as he's now stepping out on the map. I mean, the Protoss army is getting scarier. 2-2 will be finishing up before the upgrades of DNS, so HeRoMaRiNE might actually be able to swing an upgrade lead in this fight, but he steps forward. There's a Disruptor in that army. Gotta be careful. DNS does have that scary, heavy-hitting AoE. It's not Psystorm, but Disruption Novas will do. However, DNS steps forward, actually eats an anti-armor missile. There's a Disruptor, though, for DNS. Gets a decent connection, but not the best. And a lot of these Protoss units are bruised up by that anti-armor missile. So HeRoMaRiNE taking a pretty good fight. DNS's Disruptor wanders forward. A lot more Zealots being warped in here for the Protoss player, though that anti-armor missile is going to be wearing out. Does HeRoMaRiNE have another one in there? It actually makes the world of difference in a fight like this. HeRoMaRiNE's deciding to retreat, trying to click on that Raven to see how much energy it has. It doesn't actually have enough. So, I mean, DNS, he really did survive. He's now got his 3-2 about to finish up, so he's going to be on good upgrades. He is looking to push on into his opponent, maybe overestimating how much HeRoMaRiNE lost. I mean, his army, though, it's possible that he still could take a good fight here. Vikings on the high ground, actually picking off a few units, raining down on that army. Meanwhile, a bit of a counter harassment from some Zealots hitting the 4th base of HeRoMaRiNE, but time generally is on DNS's side. He's also got DTs warping in, looking to destroy the economy of HeRoMaRiNE. HeRoMaRiNE does have a turret in every base, though, but you gotta have units in position as well to deal with those DTs. And these Disruptors, I mean, they do a good job keeping the Terran very active. Now, there's 2 Disruptors in this army, but this may be a bit of an overcommitment from DNS. He's stepping forward. HeRoMaRiNE's kiting back to the best of his ability. These heavy upgraded Protoss units are tearing through the army. The Disruptor's getting some good shots off. We'll see if HeRoMaRiNE can pick some of them off. Gets a DT. That Raven actually being a good detector there, but, I mean, DNS does trade out, does retreat, getting a bit of damage done with this DT in the natural base of HeRoMaRiNE. So, I mean, while DNS, I mean, it's not like he's making winning moves or anything. He's still in a good position, and it's arguably getting better as he's getting his 5th base on the way. Finally getting that Psystorm coming out next, getting up +3 armor on the way. HeRoMaRiNE is getting his +2 ship weapons, getting up his +3 ground weapons. Disruption Nova goes out, gets a decent connection, nice bit of damage there. Oh, fantastic shots coming out of DNS, getting some really good value there. Got Psystorm about to finish up some High Templar with energy ready to join up with the army. HeRoMaRiNE's making lots of Liberators. That's one way you can deal with Disruptors, with mass Liberators and whatnot, but HeRoMaRiNE also got to try and pull this Protoss out of position. He's moving out with his Medivacs, but I'm pretty sure they'll actually just be seen by this Xel'Naga tower. I don't think you can really sneak by this.
You have already gathered all that fields.
And look at this, DNS just poking in continuously. Where's all the Liberators for HeRoMaRiNE? He's only got one. I mean, he's making a fair few, but did he say lose a lot of Liberators or something? He's lost 7 this game, so I mean that count hasn't built up to a good number. DnS still though playing very cautious, doesn't want to overcommit into his opponent. HeRoMaRiNE's about to have +3 attack, which will help him out. He's getting into Ghosts, which will help out versus the High Templar, but there's still Disruptors at the end of the day. Now, Liberators getting set on up. Oh, not sure what happened there, but DnS stepping forward. HeRoMaRiNE's got a fantastic defensive concave, but DnS still wants to make this attack happen. Gets some pretty decent Disruptor shots, but it does cost him a Disruptor there. And HeRoMaRiNE stepping forward now, maybe wanting to keep this going. Psystorm going down for DnS, but I mean, just because his attacks aren't working doesn't mean like his situation's bad or anything like that. He's still got time really on his side, now attacking into Tempest, which will help deal with same mass Liberators. Ghost gets some good EMPs off, actually. Fantastic EMPs for HeRoMaRiNE. Now may be his moment. All the Psystorm is gone for his opponent. Marauder's stepping forward, trying to pick off some of those units. A Disruption Nova goes out, gets a decent connection, but there's only one Disruptor in this army, it looks like, so there may have been a bit of an overcommitment from DnS getting EMP'd like that. He does have another High Templar on the back foot, though, which is going to help him out tremendously. HeRoMaRiNE stepping forward right now. Looks like this Terran player going to be picking off a lot of these units. HeRoMaRiNE moving forward now. Yeah, HeRoMaRiNE, I mean, he's taken this fight. Liberators have been set up, but they've been picked off. This bio is trying to trade out as well as it can. There is a Psystorm there for DnS, so that gets used. The Tempest, I'm pretty sure they're going to go unchallenged at this point. The Stalker's not terrible versus the bio in the smaller numbers. DnS microing back to the best of his ability. HeRoMaRiNE's rallying everything he can. Gets a Liberator set up at the gold base there, so, I mean, getting some damage done, but it looks like HeRoMaRiNE will have to retreat at the end of the day. Tempest getting a lot of shots off. Now, HeRoMaRiNE just trying to rally his army a little bit, but there is this scary Tempest count, which really puts a timer on the Terran, really hurts the Terran in the long run just due to their efficiency. DnS trying to get up some Disruptors, which is a very good call. I mean, he lost a lot of his AoE. He needs some more of that. He's warped in High Templar, but those Disruptors can't be EMP'd. HeRoMaRiNE got his bio just building up on this watchtower. A good observer for DnS, lets him know exactly what's up. Looks like he's stepping forward, maybe hoping to pick off a Medivac or something. HeRoMaRiNE stepping forward, he's going for it. Got to be careful, really needs to respect those High Templar. Scans and picks off the observer, knowing that something was afoot there. But DnS going for more DT harassment. HeRoMaRiNE's flying over, trying to secure his main base. But so far, DnS staying alive. HeRoMaRiNE not able to make a sort of aggressive push that gets enough damage done work, because he is the aggressor in this scenario. I mean, I know he's been on the defensive side, but he generally is the one who wants to push and try and end the game, as opposed to having it drag on out. Now, looks like a few units for HeRoMaRiNE, a little left there on the watchtower by accident, getting picked off. I mean, every bit of supply matters here. Now, Disruptors are in the front for DnS. There's 2 in this army. One of them fires their Nova. The issue is, it's not just Disruptors. It is lots of High Templar. DnS seems to be doing a good job splitting them up. Although, this could actually be a huge mistake by DnS. His High Templar are out on the map, and look at this. HeRoMaRiNE knows he steps forward. Going to be picking some of these off. Lots of them going down. That's actually going to be pretty much every High Templar going down for DnS, and that is such a huge find for HeRoMaRiNE. That is a massive blunder. That High Templar couldn't even defend himself there versus that one Marauder. So, I mean, that is a big misstep from DnS. That's really going to hurt a lot of the AoE in his army. Gone. 5 High Templar, not cheap to replace either. He does have another one in here, though, that is building up energy. A few more behind as well. And looks like DnS is going to be able to force HeRoMaRiNE off his base, it looks like. HeRoMaRiNE, though, looking to maybe get a good surround. Got a Ghost in this army. Got a couple Ghosts in this army, looking to get some good EMPs, but the Disruptor count is now very high from his opponent. HeRoMaRiNE building up a lot of Vikings, maybe to try and challenge the Tempest count. It is that sort of numbers game as far as what you've got those numbers in. Oh, fantastic Disruptor hit goes down for DnS. That Disruptor at 10 kills, just picking off units left and right, and that really hurt HeRoMaRiNE. That was a nice connection. Looks like 11 probes have gone down. Some very good Liberator harassment going on here. Looks like some more Zealot and DT harassment going on. HeRoMaRiNE got units in position to deal with this, though. So both these guys continuing on with the harassment, as neither of them has a big bank. HeRoMaRiNE has to be careful, has to retreat there, though, as the Disruptors get some good shots off. And, I mean, these DTs, Zealots in the base of his opponent, but not able to get a ton done or anything like that. There's not a lot to kill at that base. HeRoMaRinE gonna be going for a big drop. Actually changes his mind, unloads a few of the units. Maybe looking for a big surround on this army. Once again, that's exactly what Terran wants, which is a good engagement. HeRoMaRiNE's actually just gonna be running on in towards one of these bases, it looks like, just trying to pull his opponent right out of position. There's nothing in position here for DNS. This bio is gonna be committing, and it is very committed here. It's gonna be run on in. What's it gonna try and pick off? Gonna be getting a robo, maybe both robos as a matter of fact, and he does, but he eats a massive Psystorm. Gonna be trading out with some of these High Templar. He splits to the best of his ability. There's a DT on this army, though. HeRoMaRiNE's scanning the rest of this army. He's got to defend back at home. Looks like the trigger being pulled. Some good EMPs going down on the army, but not on the High Templars. The Vikings gonna be working away on these Tempests, though, so they're all gonna be falling. It looks like Psystorm can't really save the Tempest in time. This drop as well looks like it will be cleaned up, so a lot going on right now, but this really is the main fight right here. Bio's getting on top of these Disruptors, picking off a fair few. However, the standing army for DNS is still looking pretty strong, but the Marauders staying alive. Can they pick anything else off? I mean, is it enough for HeRoMaRinE? He's now retreating with everything that he has. Getting those Medivacs back is important. He's producing as much bio as he can. I mean, the economy for DNS hasn't really expanded anymore, and as I say expanded, I mean literally he hasn't expanded for quite a while now. He hasn't secured any of these other bases, so I mean HeRoMaRinE has been trading out decently as this is going on. Resources lost are equal, which is pretty good for a Terran player in this situation. HeRoMaRinE though does lose his gold base. That's going to hurt his economy. However, he's a Terran. He's got those mules that can keep things going for a while, and as far as smaller armies go, that generally does benefit the Terran. It's the Protoss that wants that big that massive army, really. HeRoMaRiNE's going to be going for a drop, but it will actually be spotted by this DT. This could be huge for DNS if he's able to sort of intercept this. Does he actually see those Medivac drops, though? Oh, maybe he didn't. Oh, this would actually be huge if DNS was able to get these Medivacs, but doesn't look like he's prepared for that. He's busy pushing on the front, and there's lots of Liberators set up. Ghosts in position for HeRoMaRiNE. He's trying to hold this location, and maybe gonna have to float over another command center to try and get this base up. But this drop gonna be moving down for HeRoMaRiNE. Looks like DNS finally trying to expand here, but HeRoMaRiNE's gonna be snuffing this out. Yeah, this bio picking off that base. Forcing a Zealot warping, and DNS, his economy, it's going to be starting to run out of steam. So is HeRoMaRiNE's, but just because your own economy is hurting doesn't mean you shouldn't try and hurt your opponents. Liberators getting set on up. Disruptor Nova's going out. I mean, DNS's standing army still a very strong one, as that AoE does require a certain response. So far, it hasn't got the most value that DNS would want, but still. This is looking pretty decent for the Protoss player. I would like to see DNS, if he can manage it, say squeeze out just 1 or 2 Colossus. That would be absolutely huge for him, I think. But for now, HeRoMaRiNE, he's got this bio army looking for a good EMP. If he can EMP all the High Templar, maybe he can take a fight. Now, here we see Stalker gets picked off from the looks of it. Disruptor's hanging around. DNS has been very aggressive this game, wanting to force a mistake out of HeRoMaRiNE, but this is a crazy Terran versus Protoss. All right. Now, Tempest moving on out just to support this army, gonna try and prevent those Liberators, but HeRoMaRiNE making Vikings once again to try and counter that out. This game, I mean, while there's been a lot of attacks, it's been relatively passive for the past couple of minutes. Now, HeRoMaRiNE going to be looking for some Liberator harassment. Not Medivac drops this time, Liberator harassment. This DT that was chilling in the natural going to try and get on in there. HeRoMaRiNE just floats the command center over, apparently. But we'll see if these Liberators are able to get some good harassment. Looks like one being queued up to each base, it looks like. Yeah, so trying to get some good damage done to his opponent's economy. Tempest or Stalker's not really in position to deal with this. There's a couple warping in, but this will hurt the economy of DNS. DNS not wanting to have to deal with Liberator harassment at this point in the game. He's busy trying to go for a big attack, but this can really add up. Probes are starting to go down at each base. This Liberator at the other location not being cleaned up yet. 9 workers going down, so DNS taking a bit of a beating on his economy. His mining really down for the time being. The income advantage for HeRoMaRiNE. We've seen how it's gone back and forth this game so much. But for now, it seems to be going pretty well for for HeRoMaRinE, but that standing army will always be a threat. That being said, I mean, it's not as strong as it could be. There's no Colossus in with this. It's a lot more Stalkers than it is, say, Zealots. And so, I mean, 26 Stalkers versus 28 Marauders, we all know how that's going to work out for the Stalkers, but the thing is, it is about the AoE that supports the army. And now HeRoMaRinE just trying to secure this gold base, but that's not going to happen. He's stepping forward, lands an EMP on the army, but misses most of the High Templar, it seems. Actually misses pretty much every High Templar, I think. Got to be careful to avoid that Psystorm, and actually eats a very big one there. Nicely done. Gets a Disruptor, but that Psystorm was very well placed for DNS. Here we see DNS just trying to bully his opponent, use the range of this Tempest. This map, it's got a lot of sort of awkward choke points for Terran to try and dive on top the Protoss. Looks like HeRoMaRinE's actually going to be going for it, though. Stepping back, absorbing a lot of those Psystorms. Not landing enough EMPs, so there's still Psystorm to come down. Lots of Psystorms being dropped. Looks like HeRoMaRinE's army really is thinning out. GG gets called. DNS takes it. Very well played as the Protoss player manages to eventually close it out. All right, guys, so that was game number 1. We'll be hopping into game number 2 in just a second here. Okay, so we're back into the second game between HeRoMaRinE and DNS. That last one was pretty crazy, awesome, long and drawn out, which is always great to see. Anyway, you guys know the two players, HeRoMaRinE and DNS. DNS managed to take that last game. I mean, playing pretty efficient style on that map, eventually just managing to close it out. Really, yeah, that Disruptor sort of style just on that map, Stasis, is incredibly good. Kairos, I wouldn't say, is as good of a map for that, as there's more attack paths and it's more open. So we'll see how it's going to go for this game. Although DNS, he's moving out with a probe already. Is he just really paranoid about proxies? It looks like it. Follow the line. Yes, he is. He's just rather concerned about proxies, but from what I've seen, HeRoMaRinE isn't a player who's known to proxy all that often. I mean, I've not cast him too much, but I mean, he does stream regularly on Twitch, and you don't tune into him too raxing unlike some other streamers as frequently. But no, yeah, so probe coming on in just after that sort of long scout path, and then just going to get on into HeRoMaRinE's main base. HeRoMaRinE is a Terran. Like, as far as Terrans go, ones who are willing to macro up, he's really up there. Not that you can always count your opponent to do the same thing. It is a pro series, so changing things up is pretty important. DNS, interestingly enough, going for the Cyber Core before his Nexus. That's just a slight adjustment, making sure he'll have out an Adept or a Stalker as quick as he can, and then just scouting out with his probe, being a pain, trying to block the Nexus. He never checked if there was 2 gases, so I guess in a sense he's just going out on faith. Gonna come back in with the probe, confirm that that command center's on the way. And that probe's just hanging out at the back here, and it looks like someone like left pieces of chocolate around. That's an odd bit of dirt just hanging around. But HeRoMaRinE going down with his Reaper, however, not quite in position, so this probe's going to come on in perfectly timed from DNS, just going to harass this SCV. This is very annoying as the Terran to deal with, but I mean, there's a reason why Protoss players do that. And it is exactly that. So the probe will go down, delays the command center just a bit. But this is hopefully for DNS enough that the command center will be delayed noticeably by this Adept that's coming across the map. The command center's got 25 seconds or so to go left on it, but this Reaper, this Reaper actually ate 2 shots and could be about to go down, and it looks like that it is. So DNS gets the Reaper and is now moving across the map. HeRoMaRinE's producing 2 Marines and a Hellion, but I don't know if this command center is going to be able to finish on time. Yeah, I don't think so. 10 seconds on the clock, but this Adept is going to be getting on in here, and that SCV just 1 shot away from going down. Another SCV, 2 more SCVs are rallied down. HeRoMaRinE sort of making the call to sacrifice them like that, and these poor SCVs, man. It's a rough life being one of HeRoMaRinE's SCVs right now. Marines and Hellions come on down, but there's 2 Adepts now, so he's got to be extra careful. Does a good job microing, keeping that injured SCV back and alive, but still a bit of a nuisance for an opening coming out of HeRoMaRinE. Then DNS following this up with a Stargate after that. Now these Adepts still scouting out. Good raise on the wall there from HeRoMaRinE, and DNS, I imagine he'll go home with these relatively soon, since cyclones and things like that could be on the way. But he could actually, pardon me, as I say that, he could actually be planning a bit of this aggression. I mean, he's got an Oracle crossing the map and 3 Adepts. It's possible he may be looking just to do one of those moves in which you shade on in with the Adepts and then have the Oracle attack on in. I mean, these Adepts are looking to shade on in. They cancel it, though. They do pick off the Hellion, though, so that's a nice find. And what does HeRoMaRinE have in his main base to defend from this? He's got 1 Widow Mine that's repositioning to the main base to deal with this Oracle, but I'm not sure if it's going to get there in time. This Oracle might actually be able to focus down the mine. That would be absolutely huge. Instead just goes for some SCVs, actually. Gets 2 SCVs. We'll see if it gets anything else, but still just being a bit of a pain. I mean, keeping that worker count lower. Now, these 3 Adepts are going to be shading on in here. Once again, they've got the mobility, so why not? These depots got to be raised again by HeRoMaRinE, just under constant threat from DnS, who's now going up to a fast 3rd Nexus behind this. So a very nice move in that regard. Now, this Oracle hanging around for now. Just as long as DnS keeps it alive, he can keep harassing with that. HeRoMaRinE going to sort of bite the bullet and say, all right, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do anything like an all-in that'll get enough damage done back at home, so I'm just going to throw up a 3rd CC, and he does do that. Cyclone catches the Oracle a bit, but doesn't get a kill or anything. DnS makes the smart choice to recall it so that Cyclone can't lock onto it and kill it off or anything. But no, a very nice opening from DnS, just a small bit of damage. He's moving out with a fair few Adepts now. He's got 6 Adepts crossing the map and a Twilight Council and Forge on the way, which makes it sort of lead into probably Resonate and Glaive Adepts, which I'm a little bit concerned for. You have a nice opening going into like a strong macro game with like a Robo or something. Is not the worst thing in the world, I don't think. So the choice for Adept seems a little finicky, so to speak, in my opinion. But these 2 Adepts do shade on in once more. And yeah, here we go. I mean, these 2 Oracles, 2 Phoenix, still just sharking about. DnS cancels the shade. He is going for the Glaives, which I'm honestly not that big of a fan of. I feel like Glaives are more for like precise attacks, not like if you have a good opening. Like, going Robo here, I don't think would have been the worst choice for DnS. Instead, he's throwing up a lot of gateways, and we have seen Terrans, like, throw games in this manner before. Like, I cast TY versus Classic before in Classic with a ton of Adepts. They just melt at times versus a Terran Bio army. And HeRoMaRinE, yeah, he's getting up to 3 bases, so that's a bit of a commitment, but he's getting up to Bio, and as long as he, say, gets up a wall, has his bunker up, tanks, Raven, I honestly like what he's doing versus mass Adepts, which DnS is aiming for. So I'm not a big fan of what DnS is doing, to be completely honest with you guys. Like, there's a chance I'm going to be completely proven wrong and that DnS is just going to go across the map, pardon me, and just absolutely wipe out HeRoMaRinE with like 20 or 30 Adepts or something like that. But I mean, I feel as if there's more of a chance of him throwing this game by committing to Resonate and Glaive Adepts instead of something like a quicker Robo charge or Blink or something like that even. So now we see, I mean, DnS, he hasn't been warping in a ton of Adepts, so he went for the Glaives first and is maybe just going to use them for harassment after. This is something I can get behind, but I mean, he did delay his other tech to get this up. He's now just getting up his +1 armor. HeRoMaRinE got his 1/1 on the way already. He's going to have Combat Shield. A Robo Bay is on the way, a 2nd Robotics facility, so DnS might have to try and get into Disruptors or something, because the fact that he committed to these Glaives instead of trying to get out any other tech beforehand, it means that HeRoMaRinE's going to have to stim timing possibly. That could really, really hurt the Protoss player. Now, HeRoMaRinE did cancel his bunker, and Adepts are lurking, so it's possible they can always get some sort of damage done here. But HeRoMaRinE has a very strong army that's crossing the map. Now, a Stasis Ward is there, but the Raven does wonders in helping clean those up. I was concerned a little bit. So HeRoMaRinE just looking pretty strong right now. Going to be crossing the map, and it's just Resonating Glaives, and there's going to be an anti-armor missile. Like, these Adepts, they are just going to die versus this Raven, I think. And just with all the bios, so much damage is going to be put out. HeRoMaRinE going to have potential upgrade leads. There's 1 Colossus on the way, but, I mean, this Colossus could have been like a good mate. Could have been on the way a lot earlier than it was. Now mine's getting set up, and this could be very concerning for DnS. Anti-armor missile goes on down, connects with the Protoss army, and this is where this bio starts putting out so much damage. I think that's the way it's going to be. HeRoMaRinE just stepping forward, just cleaning the floor with the Protoss player, even dropping mines on top of the army, adding a bit of insult to injury there. And HeRoMaRinE, yeah, I think this is just a dead DnS right now. Just yeah, I mean, like, he had a nice opening, but GG. I mean, I obviously know I'm not not one to be in a position to critique pro gamers, but that choice to go for Glaive Adepts there was a little bit odd from DnS, in my opinion. So, guys, we've got ourselves a series tied 1-1. We're loading on into the next game. You're not just staring at a black screen for now, as just gonna get on into the game there. And then we can get on into the next replay, which is, you know, always good. And the final replay, because this is a best of 3, so this one went to game number 3, which is always awesome to see. And no, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the first game went really well with that style, I think, for DnS. I mean, I prefer, like, he opened up with Blink in game number 1, really as his main sort of army for that timing window. And that worked out. The Glaive Adepts did not. Just, it was a bit of a failed commitment there, in a sense. Anyway, we're getting on into the next game. Thanks so much to everyone for sticking with this video here. It's been awesome to cast these two great players. So, spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's Cascades DnS. And, you know him, Mouse HeRoMaRinE, pardon me. So, I mean, like, DnS, he might be kicking himself because he had a pretty decent opening there. Getting a couple of SCVs with the Oracle, delaying the command center a bit with the Adapt, and then just nothing else really going well for him there. Probe, now going to be moving across the map. Gateway on the way. So standard stuff. We'll see if he just runs right across to his opponent's base. We'll check out for those sort of known proxy locations, but Terrans sort of swap it up so often when they do proxy. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack almost. But yeah, we'll see how DnS is going to take this game this time. I mean, like, just like that opening. I don't mind that opening. Of course, he started out with, say, a couple of Adepts, which is like, yeah, okay, you want to go for Glaives, but I mean, he didn't even get like a Robo out to try and drop Adepts or anything like that. So that was just a bit of a bizarre build. And yeah. Now we'll see. I mean, a Probe comes on in, harasses a little bit. HeRoMaRinE just going for the same build. Having success with it last time. He took a bit of a beating, but then just macroed out. And I mean, if, say, DnS had gone for something like Colossus or Blink, he could have delayed the army out on the map or something like that. Like, I feel bad for being that guy who sort of hammers on it, but, like, that was a bit of a bummer. Oh, DnS, got to be careful. You don't want to lose your first probe to an SCV. That doesn't happen too often. Now, let's see. Nexus on the way. Command Center on the way. And there we go. Factory, you know, on the way. Barracks is producing now. Reaper's out. Just gonna be staying at home for now, it looks like. And then just checking out. Gonna be heading back home DnS with a nice wall to prevent that Reaper from jumping in easily. Protoss have been doing this a fair bit lately, which is always good to see. Just a nice little adaptation. I don't think the map maker, when he had this or made this map, probably planned for this to be a thing. I don't know, maybe he did. Map makers are pretty smart, but it's cool that pros sort of picked up on that. Now, here comes in this Adept once again. DnS going to be looking to delay this command center just with a sort of similar opening. First Adept moving across the map, Stargate on the way. So HeRoMaRinE, his command center going to be delayed for a little bit. Adept going to cancel its shade. HeRoMaRinE got to wait for the 2 Marines to be his hero, you know, and then that Cyclone, or that Hellion, pardon me, on the way. The second Adept comes on in here. Now it becomes this little micro battle. Can 2 Marines, a Reaper, and a Hellion beat 2 Adepts? Let's find out, I guess. I think the mobility goes towards HeRoMaRinE, but good job from DnS actually being able to pick that off. Now, Hellion gets back to the top of the ramp. The command center will get up, so DnS does back off, but picking off that Reaper's nice. Not having to worry about it to scout out, but I mean, HeRoMaRinE probably realizes that this is looking pretty similar to the last build. This game, he's going for a Viking, getting up a Widowmine on the way as well. So going to have that Viking to defend versus the Oracle. DnS moving across the map with his Oracle. We'll see. Maybe he is going to try and do that bit of a commitment thing. Hellion runs out for HeRoMaRinE. Probably going to be looking to try and get a scout off later on. Oracle is actually looking for this Hellion, it would seem. Yeah, he wants to try and pick it off, but decides, yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that. Hellion just hanging out for now. The Adepts of DNS are returning on home. And here goes that Oracle. Runs into the Viking, though. Backs on out, so far, so good for HeRoMaRinE. Look at that. He starts a Raven, starts Cloak. Could be a bit of a mind games here, because he knows that it's revealed, so DNS is like, really, guy? Really? But you never know. Maybe he'll actually commit and let that Cloak finish. There's just so many things going on in this StarCraft 2 game, guys. Like, look at the APM right now. That is just some hard... That's a hearty bowl of APM right there. Now, looks like we're seeing more DNS just going to this Stargate. 2 Oracles out, getting a Phoenix and a second Phoenix on the way. Now, we'll see if these 2 Oracles are able to find anything. The Vikings going to be able to push them off. Looks like DNS just getting a Revelation, then getting on out. One of the Oracles gets bruised a little bit. Now, an extra barracks on the way. So HeRoMaRinE just teching up, aiming for the 2 base start. We'll see if he eventually throws up a 3rd base. So pretty similar to game number 1. I like that he's also consistently been making a Raven. Like, it's a big deal for Terran to make a Raven, guys. The fact that they have to commit starport time onto a tech lab delays the medivacs pretty significantly, but, I mean, it of course does free up a tech lab for your factory and such later on, but it is a bit of a commitment. It's a fair bit of gas. And, but it definitely does work wonders with that anti-armor missile, so it's cool to see HeRoMaRinE consistently adding that in there. And then, looks like DNS is going to be playing the Adepts once again, guys. I don't know. Like, maybe I'll be proven horribly wrong this time, but, like, just the fact that he's made 6 Adepts makes me think he's probably going to be going for Glaives. There's the armor. Okay, it's Charge. I can get behind Charge. The 6 Adept commitment and the fact that he's not going Glaives is a bit of an interesting one. Poor DNS. I'm such a bully. It's just like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But making 6 Adepts in the first place was a bit of an interesting choice, I suppose, instead of, say, getting up some Stalkers. Like, even Stalkers have more utility because you need the AA. So, we'll see. Oracle comes on in, going to be getting off a Scout. There's 2 of them out. Revelation goes down. This Oracle's really hanging around, just wanting to see exactly what's going on, but it's actually taken a fair bit of damage from this Viking, so Vikings putting in work. And DNS knows that this attack's going to be on the way. He's getting up Charge this time, which definitely, as far as standing up to bio, it can work out a lot better. The concern, though, is the fact that it can, of course, just be kited. That's sort of where Adepts can do all right. They can shade on top of the bio army when they do take that big fight. So, I mean, these Zealots, they will have +1. HeRoMaRinE will have to kite them a fair bit in order to bring them down. DNS is getting up more Phoenix on the way. The Phoenix will pick off the medivacs, which really prevents the bio from kiting back endlessly, and can pick up other important units and things like that. So it is going to be mass Zealots coming out of DNS to try and deal with what HeRoMaRinE's sending at him. Looks like some of the bio actually gets caught in a stasis ward, and that was a pretty big amount of the bio, too, that got found. So, I mean, that's like 10 Marines that are not going to be in this push, so HeRoMaRinE got to wait for them to get out of that. Now, these Phoenix just hanging around, looking to pick off whatever they can get. The army's revealed. Phoenix gets bruised up a little bit. DNS just warping in more and more Zealots. Like, DNS is just trying to get up a ton of Zealots. Currently, it's 21 to 23 Marines. And I don't know if you guys know how it usually goes between Marines and Zealots, but if there's an equal amount of both, it usually goes pretty well for the Zealots. That being said, of course, there's the tank, Viking, Mines, and Raven, you know, just those small things which will make a bit of a difference for HeRoMaRinE. But, I mean, it is a very healthy amount of Zealots for DNS, and if he was just massing up Adepts this whole time, I'd be knocking him, but I'm glad to see he's sort of changed that up. As Phoenix on the way, it looks like a Ghost Academy is on the way from HeRoMaRinE, which is good to see. That can help EMP Phoenix. It's also very good versus the sort of heavy gateway style units. Colossus are very good against Ghosts. That's why we don't see them be rushed out as quick versus those sort of robo styles. Now, those Widow Mines got some pretty decent connections on the air army, and oh, this Viking actually picks off the Oracle, so both Oracles are now dead, so not having that as a tool does actually hurt DNS a little bit. There is now a ton of Zealots, 37 Zealots out for DNS. Oh man, he might not have 2 Oracles, but he has a ton of Zealots. This is I think he's just going to go for it and try and kill HeRoMaRinE. I mean, pushing into mines with Zealots is always risky. HeRoMaRinE is quickly noping out of there and backing up. I mean, he wants a good choke point versus all of these Zealots. And this is a ton of Zealots. DnS is going for it. He's a little bit disjointed, but look at all of these Zealots. This is so insane. DnS is backing up. The Zealots are taking a lot of shots thanks to the Guardian Shield. So, I mean, this attack doesn't seem to work. I bet DnS wants to try and get some force fields on this army. They're locking it in. Some of the buy was sort of safe, but some of it's not behind those force fields. EMP goes down on the Zealots. DnS, I'm not sure if his count's going to be able to do it. The force fields are really working against him at this point. And army supply-wise, he has fallen. He doesn't have a warp prism or anything to reinforce, so he's got these Zealots on the other side of the map. But that was a crazy attack. HeRoMaRinE. Like, that was a tsunami of Zealots, guys. That was just... That was a lot of Zealots. That's all I can say. How many have died this game? 26. And I'm pretty sure most of them were in that attack. So, and then there's still another 20. So that's a lot of Zealots. It's the most Zealots I've seen in a while. Like, besides in mono battles or something like that. But, now we see DnS has been teching into Psystorm, which is a bit of a natural follow. Well, I'm not going to say what's the natural follow-up to a ton of Zealots, but, I mean, he had the Twilight. And he does need AoE, so Psystorm fills that need. Now, more High Templars being warped on in. I got a very healthy amount, which is good, because if your opponent already has Ghosts out, which DnS has seen, it's very important to have something to counter that out. Now, of course, he's also going to have the Warp Prism, which should be able to lift up some of these High Templar. However, where is that Prism? No, that Prism's busy with a counterattack, so there's actually no Prism to ferry these High Templar in, which is a little bit concerning here for DnS. Now, here comes in all the bio for HeRoMaRinE. This could actually become very worrisome. That attack didn't work out, so it's already a bit of a dicey situation, but the lack of Prism over here to help drop these High Templar to storm out. He gets a decent storm down, but HeRoMaRiNE's pretty good at this splitting thing. Now, HeRoMaRiNE's setting mines up, trying to split DnS out. The problem is, with these Zealots, once they commit, they are committed, and EMP connects with the army, and HeRoMaRiNE's just stepping on in. Now, DnS, he's got to run over all these mines, but it's just damned if you do, damned if you don't, but he's going for it. Eats a lot of the mine shots, tries to back off, but his Nexus goes down. This is looking pretty good for HeRoMaRiNE. However, on the other side of the map, DnS, with that counterattack, getting a lot of damage done, but there's so much bio here for HeRoMaRiNE. Like, the High Templar need to get some amazing Psystorms on this army, but HeRoMaRiNE has already done so much damage, and there's just not enough Protoss here, it looks like. I mean, there's a fair few Zealots, but this is such a Terran army, and look at that, the main Nexus is going to go down, the Natural's gone down. HeRoMaRiNE is taking a ton of damage to these Zealots, but he's still got 3 command centers, whereas DnS really has been wiped. EMP is trying to go down. There's a few more Psystorms in this, but look at this. Yeah, HeRoMaRiNE's just being so cautious with this. There's just one High Templar, it looks like, that can drop off 2 more Psystorms, but that's one very vulnerable high target High Templar. There goes one of the Psystorms, and the EMP lands, and it looks like that High Templar is out of energy. Now, yeah, this is just very concerning for DnS. I think he's done for, unfortunately for him. I mean, the Zealot counterattack was a noble attempt, and I mean, he got a lot of damage done, but when that Terran army is rolling up on you, you got to be ready. There's one, no, there's not even a Psystorm for him, it looks like. DnS needs to wait a couple more seconds, and he'll have one, and he's got lots of money to warp in Zealots. He's got a 4th base done, so if he can somehow hang on, I'll say maybe there's a chance, but more bio streaming across the map. GG. HeRoMaRiNE manages to take it. Well played by HeRoMaRiNE there, but no. I mean, I feel like, guys, I'm not usually this super analytical in all the games and whatnot, but, I felt this series, I was a little bit hard on DnS, but I'd say partially rightfully so. And then, I mean, as far as, like, the overall choice of what you play, it's a lot easier to sort of critique that and be like, well, that's not that good. But when it comes down to a little mistake, I usually don't hammer on to the players or anything, because everyone makes mistakes at StarCraft. The best of the best do. But, I mean, just the choice to have the Warp Prism out on the map. Like, yes, the counterattack damage got a lot done, but he really needed to have the mobility to shuffle those High Templar around, to drop the Psystorm, to protect them from the EMP. And so that's a little bit rough there from DnS, but still, fantastic series, fantastic European StarCraft 2. And thanks so much to everyone for tuning on in. If you guys enjoyed the video, you know the drill. You watched to the end, that means you probably enjoyed it, so make sure to hit that like button. Let's try and hit, I mean, I said 50 for the last one. Let's try and hit 30 likes for this video. That would be insane, guys. But yeah, and also if you're new to the channel and stayed to the very end, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm pretty much put out. I'm never gonna be that guy who makes that promise, but I put out a fair bit of StarCraft 2 on my channel at a pretty regular interval. Some would say almost daily, but no promises there. Thanks so much to everyone for watching. I'll see you guys next time.